All right, welcome into the very first reactionary mini pod. Yesterday I talked about how me and Alex were going to do these, but because there's some breaking news today, we had to bring on Devin instead. Devin, what's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
So you kept texting me about this, like at least like a couple times a week. You would text me being like, "What's up? What's the deal with Caleb Lohner?" And I had to keep telling you, like, "Don't worry, like patience." Like, well, I think the last one I was just like, "Patience is key" or something like that. Like, was the last text I sent to you about it. But finally tonight we have Caleb Lohner committing to BYU. Not any news that anyone should be surprised about or didn't catch anyone off guard. Maybe the timing did a little bit coming down on a Friday night at 6 p.m. Luckily, we went a little long on the show today, our radio show today. We went like 15 minutes past 6 o'clock, and then at like 6:13 or whatever it was, Caleb Lohner announced on Twitter that he was going to come to BYU. But so we were able to snag that. We got the content out. But now for Beehive Sports, we want to talk a little bit about kind of the Caleb Lohner's decision to be released from his letter of intent with the University of Utah and instead commit to BYU. Again, officially announced this afternoon that he would be committing to BYU. Let me see if I can pull up the tweet to get the message that he put out to BYU fans, because I thought it was an interesting message. He didn't really talk much about BYU, and really the bulk of his announcement was geared towards the University of Utah. So he says, insanely excited to announce that I will be playing for BYU. So excited and blessed to be in the position I'm in today, ready to get to work. And then he goes on to say, I am grateful to Mark Harlan and Coach Kraskowiak for their willingness to grant my release. I have a lot of respect for both of them. So when you hear his announcement and, you know, the stuff that he put out, what's your initial reaction to kind of at least his messaging there?
Well, he definitely took the high road, I think, with that announcement, the way he said it. He gave thanks to Mark Harlan, and he had to throw Kraskowiak in there just to look good. But, you know, Kraskowiak did not respect him, and he's probably not – doesn't probably have too much respect for Kraskowiak right now just for the – you saw the statement. I don't have it by me.
I'll see if I can pull that up, but keep going.
Yeah, see if you can pull that up, but the statement of Kraskowiak saying. But first off, going back to you saying why I was just a little anxious because, you know, we've been let down in the past as BYU fans before. So I think when they, you know, Salt Lake Tribune and all the other news outlets in Utah confidently said that he was leaving Utah to go to BYU, I believed it, but I think it just took a while for him to commit. Like you said, it's kind of a random time. And I think it just took a while. Even it's been, a week and a half since they released his letter of intent?
It's been like almost a month.
Really?
No, it's been a month, I think, since it was initially announced that he would seek release. It's been almost 2 weeks since he was actually released.
See, that's what I'm saying. So it got me thinking like maybe he was rethinking his options.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he was going to try to go out of state or something like that. So, you know, first initially you get really excited as a BYU fan that not only did someone leave a program to go to BYU, but a player like Caleb Lohner is leaving Utah, the in-state rival up north, to come to BYU. So It gets you excited, you know, and I think it just shows where BYU's basketball program is right now. It's definitely trending up as compared to Utah, which, you know, is supposed to be in a different stratosphere, joining the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So I put out a tweet
and gone down.
So I put out a tweet when it was first announced that he would seek release from his letter of intent, and I just said BYU and Utah basketball could not be trending in two more opposite directions because, I mean, you look at the offseason BYU's had, it's adding Matt Harms, it's adding Brandon Averett, it's coming off of a season in which they were the number one three-point shooting team in the country. They were picked by many to make an NCAA tournament run, and then you compare that to Utah that, you know, Booth Gotch enters the transfer portal and ends up going to Minnesota. You have Caleb Lohner wanting to be released from his letter of intent. You have, I forget the name of the player, but there's another University of Utah basketball player who also is transferring. So,
Matthew
Van Komen. So, I put that out there, and there was a bunch of Utah fans who were like, oh, and Utah still beat BYU. And that's a different conversation to have. But the fact is that if you look at just the direction of the two programs, I mean, Utah is having to close off half their stadium for goodness
Right.
sake. The top upper bowl is being curtained off because they can't fill their stadium.
Right.
So the two programs definitely could not be headed in two more opposite directions. But so here's the statement that the University of Utah put out. We are obviously very disappointed in Caleb's recent decision requesting a release from his NLI, said Utah coach Larry Kuskoviak in a statement. However, we will honor his wishes and turn our focus towards the motivated, talented, and connected players and coaches that are committed to our program. So I think that's kind of where I think some people thought he was taking a shot. The motivated, talented, and connected players. So apparently, because Caleb Lohner didn't fit into that. I mean, Caleb Lohner is obviously very talented, and obviously you have to be motivated to get to the point where he's at in his career.
Right.
So I guess the disconnect comes in the connection, in the connected players. Is that
You know,
what you read into that?
here's the thing. Is maybe that's a reason why a lot of players have transferred out of Utah under Krzyzewski's reign, is because maybe you can't coach like you did in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Once someone decides to leave, because I promise you, if someone decided right now to, like, for example, if Dallin Hall wanted to be released from his letter of intent to go to Utah, for example, do you think Mark Pope would take a shot like that?
Probably not.
Probably not. He'd say, best of luck to you. Sorry it didn't work out. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, because Krzyzewski would not have released his letter of intent, as we've seen in the past. Mark Harlan said, shove it. That's going to be terrible PR if we don't release his letter of intent. Go ahead, Caleb. You're an 18-year-old kid. Maybe you jumped on a decision too early, just like many 18-year-old kids get excited because Utah has nice facilities. We've seen them. You go up there, you get kind of dazzled, and, you see the fun that it could be, and all of a sudden, boom. Oh, yeah, I want to be here. But then you go home, you're like, I'm actually liking what BYU's doing. Maybe I fit their system better. Maybe I like Mark Pope's coaching style better. So, whatever made him change his mind, which many of the news outlets have said that it was playing style. I think there's a little more to it than playing style. I think
Style certainly can be part of it. I think that's probably
part of it, but that's not the whole
majority
reason.
part. But there's got to be at least some raised eyebrows when it comes to Coach Krzyzewski, and it'd be interesting to have PVD on and just talk to him, just kind of about what it's like, because he's obviously a guy who played under Krzyzewski for 4 years,
and he loves it. He'll swear by it.
Yeah. But Parker's one of the very few guys that went 4 years under Krzyzewski.
Right.
Just to give the perspective of someone like Parker, who obviously played under Krzyzewski, knows the system, knows what it's like to play for a coach like that. Because he's very intense. Like, I don't think everyone realizes how intense Krzyzewski is.
Until they're on the court playing.
But there's got to be something else going on when you have guys like Donnie Tillman, you have guys like Devin Daniels,
Christian Pacula. Xavier, whatever, something.
You can go on and on about all the players that have left the Utah program under Krzyzewski's watch. So there's something to be said there. But turning our attention to focus on how this benefits BYU, do you foresee Caleb Lohner being a starter this year? And what kind of impact does he have on the BYU team?
I don't know about a starter. I still think that many people are going to be surprised by Connor Harding. Mm-hmm. I think kind of unleash him a little bit more this year and let him hit the gas a little bit and not play so, reserved.
Yeah.
So I think he'll share time with Connor Harding. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter. I do think halfway through the season to the end of the season, depending on injuries too and what happens with the lineup, I do see him playing significant minutes just because he's already as big as the kids playing on the court.
Yeah, he's 6'9", I think is what Steve Pierce of Vanquish the Foe tweeted out earlier this evening. He said a little birdie told me that he was 6'9" in shoes.
Yeah. So that being said, I think that he will share playing time. And like I said, it's not only is he big enough, he's strong enough to hang with people right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he will get significant playing time, but I still think if they're going to put him at the same position as Connor Harding, I think Connor Harding's still going to start over him for the majority of the. And why rush it?
Yeah.
Harding's already proven.
He doesn't need. He's a great situation at BYU because this BYU team is so deep now. I mean, this was a team that was looking like Gideon George could be one of the first guys off the bench just a couple months ago. And
Right.
now Gideon George is probably going to be redshirting, either
Right.
be redshirting or at the end of the bench. So this BYU team is just so deep, you could probably field two starting fives just on this BYU roster. So here's how I foresee the starting lineup shaping up. So I will have Brandon Averett at the point, Barcelo at the 2, Connor Harding at the 3, Baxter at the 4, and Harms at the 5. And then your first like 3 guys off the bench are probably going to be Lohner, Richard Harward, and Wyatt Lowell. And then you have other guys like Trevin Nell, Jesse Wade, Hunter Erickson that are, that are also really good players.
Boy, this is music to my ears.
This BYU team is just going to be so incredibly deep. Hopefully we have a basketball season, right? Hopefully, I mean, my confidence level that college basketball will take place is 95%, but this BYU
still
team,
that 5.
the BYU athletics just seem to be cursed in the fact that anytime things are going well for them, something drastic has to happen.
Something always has to happen. Just like here. Because now you got anyone saying, oh, no, did BYU even make the tournament? No, they were a freaking 5 seed.
Yeah.
Don't give me that.
And, Jimmer and Brandon Davies being suspended, it's always something.
It's always something.
BYU athletics. So, but
always.
Big news, Caleb Lohner coming to BYU. You can finally rest easy. You can sleep peacefully at night, Devin.
It's a huge get. I haven't put that. This is a huge get, and I think for the next 3 to 4 years, depending on how his career turns out, barring whatever happens, I think that Caleb Lohner is an NBA guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think he certainly has the ceiling of an NBA player. He has the potential to be an NBA guy. I agree. He has the size
with a 3-point shot.
Yeah. So big expectations, but I'm with you what you said a little earlier. He doesn't need to be rushed. BYU fans shouldn't rush him. He shouldn't feel rushed. Let him ease into this. It's a great situation this year with a loaded BYU roster that he can come in, play some minutes, but not have to be relied on to be the guy. And then he can become the guy, a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, let him learn from Harding a little bit on what it's like to play for Coach Puck.
Yeah.
I'm
with you. Huge get. Great news for BYU. We're excited. This has been the first reactionary mini pod from Beehive Sports. So Devin, thanks for going on this maiden voyage.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with, who knows what other reactionary mini pods we may have between now and next week, but keep your eye out for the Off Field Generals podcast, new one coming up next week. So thanks a lot, Devin.
Thank you.